Manning he's going to be the lightning rod. He's going to get all of the criticism, but they can't protect him. They can't run. And really, for the first time Saturday, their defense got beat a little bit more often. So now Texas is in the midst of a mess too, Dan, with this highly touted quarterback who is much more gifted than his level of production and play right now. Sarkisian hasn't been able to push quite the right buttons just yet to manufacture some type of offense. And here they are, out of the top 25 from preseason number 1, a loss at Florida. And here comes Oklahoma with I guess Pete's going to be on this all week. Don't know if John Mateer is going to play or not, but as bad as Florida was and as good as Oklahoma's defense has been, might not matter. They might just shut down the Texas offense and win the game Saturday, though this is another one of those examples of, be careful of what might happen.
Well, the Oklahoma defensive line is every bit as good, probably better than Florida's. And Florida's line dominated. Florida dominated both sides of the ball. And I think that's the big concern for Texas. Their offensive line could not protect Arch Manning, which does not excuse Arch Manning's performance in this game. You can see with Arch Manning his ability to make some throws. He throws some. There's moments there. But he holds the ball too long. He overthrows. It's just this guy is not nearly the player that everyone was expecting at this point. And I don't know how. The thing with Arch, everyone blames the media, and that's fine. The media has no clue what's going to happen, which is why we have the preseason poll of Texas and Penn State. Preseason poll brought to you by Warby Parker. I believe would do this. But everybody every draft guy, number 1 pick. Really? This just isn't it. The pressure on Arch Manning going into the Red River is enormous. And I don't know, he's got to find himself and show something that he hasn't seen. This whole season was based on Texas's hype. If you look at it, Penn State was bringing a lot of guys back. And I do think we underestimated, hey, 2 of the guys they aren't bringing back are really, really good, Ty Warren and Abdul Carter. But Texas was like putting together a new offensive line, and we got all these guys in the portal, and they're going to be good. And you kind of assume, you spent a lot of money in Texas, they're going to be good. This is not a good football team right now. They didn't look that good. Manning, and so everything was like, well, we got this super quarterback, and we just rebuild the roster every year. Don't worry, we're really good. They just aren't. And I don't know how good the program is. Steve Sarkisian and James Franklin are very, very similar. They beat the teams they're supposed to beat generally, but against the top competition, they aren't. I think he is 1-6 against top 5 teams, while at Texas, and 2-8 against the top 10. That's Steve Sarkisian. He's got a lot of mileage out of that Alabama victory a couple years ago. But who have they actually defeated through the years? What is this Texas program other than we beat teams we should beat? And I just thought that game on Saturday, again, is going on at the same time. It was a very similar deal where you're just watching this empire collapse, going, man, they just aren't that good. And then Arch is under this enormous pressure, and he's maybe trying too much. And then, as I said, week 1, they're going to regret doing all these commercials. You have a Warby Parker commercial in the middle of a game where you just threw a pick. It just enrages the fans and it causes so much more attention and pressure to be put on you and all of that. So Texas, this game Saturday could be their rebirth, or it could break really bad. It could be one of those Red River games of just enormous frustration, because they need to win, and they don't look like a team that can win that game. They haven't so far.
Red River games are always bonkers. We have to remember that. There's always a special teams play. There's always something wild that happens in Red River games. It is a game with an unusual amount of emotion, even for college football, such an emotionally charged sport. But I just want to say for Texas, to me, that the thing that's glaring, and Dan touched on it, is they replaced 4 starting offensive linemen, a couple high picks in the draft, and they just simply couldn't run the ball against Florida. It was totally jarring. They had 52 rushing yards. They averaged 2 yards a carry. And Trey Wisner got hurt at the end of the game, ran that last touchdown. He had 8 carries for 11 yards. CJ Baxter's still out. We'll see if they can get him going back. They both had hamstrings. Those hamstrings are hard, man. Like they're just there's you can't go till it's right. And Wisner just showed you can re-injure it, and now we're not going to see him for a while. I would imagine if that thing's re-aggravated. So the the core Arch has not been good, like in any way, but what's been around him has been pretty pedestrian too. So
Absolutely.
like he deserves blame, and he is not what he was made out to be. Now I was an advocate of like giving him grace for growth, right? But now we're a handful of games in and we're starting to like see who he is, and he is a pedestrian college quarterback right now, and he's not going to get better if the line's not better and the run game's not better. And weapons wise, they're fine, but they're not, they're not elite at receiver. So it's a little bit of a flawed product right now for Texas. I was surprised their defense got pushed around like it did. I thought they were pretty talented there.
How about this? Because I agree I almost said almost all. Most of the blame does go to the offense. It goes to the inability to run the ball, although running the ball against Florida has been no picnic for anybody they've played. They've lost to good teams. They've looked bad doing it prior to Saturday, but they have lost to good teams. That's one thing in favor of the Gators. But the Texas defense, they don't have a sack in their games against two good teams. And they've got Colin Simmons and Trey Moore on that team. They don't have a sack against Ohio State or Florida. They have 11 in their other 3 games. They've applied no pressure to the quarterback. They haven't been disruptive against good teams. And I think that's a little bit surprising. As for the emotion of this game, Pete, Texas has upset Oklahoma 7 times over the years when ranked 10 spots or more, in this case, unranked, 10 spots or more lower than the Sooners. They did it. The game that most approximates this one at this point happened 10 years ago. Texas was 1-4. Baker Mayfield came in there top 10, and Texas beat them. They sacked Mayfield 6 times. Oklahoma would go on to the college football playoff that year. It was the only game they lost before they lost to Clemson in the playoff. Texas finished 5-7, but they won the game. It's happened a number of times over the years, as you alluded to, but man, it's going to have to go against everything. I mean, Texas is terrible on third down on offense. Oklahoma is number 1 in the country on third down defense. Texas has, given up sacks against good competition. They've allowed 9 on the season. Oklahoma has 21. That's second in the country. There's not much going statistically for Texas, but there is the challenge of use the phrase again, their competitive character. And the opportunity that now finally there are no expectations, only doubters. There is no belief that Texas is one of the best teams in the country, only belief that they are massive disappointments, colossal collapses. So maybe that gives them the opportunity to exhale and play to the level of their talent. We did underestimate the offensive line replacement, maybe in the same way that we have at Georgia a little bit. Georgia's got a couple of young guys playing up front. Takes a little while sometimes. But I don't think that explains everything. It's just been a system failure. My big belief in Arch was based in what I believe to be high-end skills and ability and athleticism and obviously knowledge and immersion in the game over the years. But it was also based in Sarkisian's ability, uncanny ability to get guys throws that they can make, understanding their skill set, understanding what his receivers do well, outflanking defenses and making the throws easier. And really, from the very first throw of the season, where they dialed up something that looked like quintessential Sark, and it was a dirt ball. It's as if nothing has really gone smoothly. It's been clunky even against bad teams. Friday night, San Jose State won a game. And I bring that up because I had to update a note that prior to that, going into the week before their game, Texas opponents that they had beaten, Texas had victories over teams that had 0 wins against FBS teams. San Jose State gave them the first one. I haven't updated the note, but the point is made. They hadn't beaten anybody that was any good at all, and they hadn't looked great against those teams up to that point.
Texas ain't played anybody, Paul.
No, they have. Paul. Texas hasn't beaten anybody. They've played somebody. They haven't
As
beaten
usually,
anybody.
I ruined the joke.
Yeah, that's all right.
It was close. It was much like Penn State, right? So Penn State is, they didn't play anybody in the non-conference. Now, Texas did. They lost to Ohio State, and that's maybe their saving grace. Is that's not that bad of a loss if you look on it. If Texas is going to somehow make some miracle run here, they only have one SEC loss, and so that you got to reboot and say, look, man, we went out. We're going to get to the SEC championship game, and but right now they need to show something. I see Arch trying to do too much. He's holding the ball too long. He's just not there. I mean, I think the best preseason bid on him was his grandfather saying, "Oh, he'll be back next year." I think Archie was telling us something there, because this is not the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, and they got gashed on both sides of the line. This does not look like a tough team. This does not look good in the trenches. They were getting blown out for a lot of that game. And again, this is Florida is a very flawed football team, and the game got closer at the end than it probably really indicated on how it was played. So there's enormous problems here, and Oklahoma has got a real chance here. They're lucky if Mateer plays or doesn't play. There's obviously a shot for Texas, but I just don't know that beating Red River solves a lot of problems. But I can only imagine the hair on fire down in Austin right now, and this is what you're putting out there with considering the height.